Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to have you here today. This is probably the biggest thing the Women's Commission has ever done, maybe among the biggest things, not just in terms of engagement of people, but in terms of mission. Rolling up our sleeves and finding strategies to help women and girls achieve gender equity. That's the biggest thing we've ever done, and you're wonderful to be here to help us. We have great commissioners. They were ready for this. We have a mayor who's wonderful, who has given us his unwavering support from the very beginning. Our liaison, Kim Desmond, bundle of energy, totally committed. But we're 19 volunteers, we needed a partner. And that's where a little bit of luck or maybe magic came in the form of Betsy McKinney and It's Time. They recognized we were ready as a city and as a state and as a commission. And they said, would you guys like a partner? And we said, yes, we would love a partner. And they brought in the wonderful crew of America Speaks as well. So that's how it started. It was totally luck and magic, I'm convinced. Kim and I originally thought we'd have maybe 50 to 100 people. And after we went past 150 people, we sort of accused each other, are you calling up people and telling them to register? We went, no, I'm not calling anybody. Did you see anything in the paper? No. How is this happening that we exceeded our maximum, 441 of you here today, by word of mouth? And all we could think of is, hey, the whole community's ready for this. So let's get going. We believe, and the mayor believes very deeply, when women thrive, Denver thrives. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. And I hope when you leave, you're inspired and energized. I also hope that you will continue to be our partners as we implement the recommendations that come out of today's summit, as we reach out to our community, our city, our state, and even encouraging other cities to do what we have done. It's a big mission, but we appreciate each and every one of you so very much. Kim Desmond is our liaison, our link with the mayor's office. Nobody has worked harder to put this program on. She is fantastic. I didn't have to tell you that. You already knew that. Kim Desmond, come on up here.
Wow. This is awesome. Like looking out into this sea of people, I'm humbled. Thank you all for joining us today. Not only are we preparing to engage in thought-provoking conversation, we have also, true to form, provided some tools. Today is a very exciting day for all of us, I'm sure. This idea to orchestrate this summit started as a vision, a simple idea. You are all names on multiple Excel spreadsheets. And now you are here, and we're looking forward to your ideas and your contributions to our final report. First and foremost, I want to thank those who made today possible. And this day would not be possible without our funders. I want to first and foremost thank our funding circle. Without the financial contribution, we would not be here today. And I want to also thank our partner organizations who were vital in the planning of this event as well. I want to thank our host committee who played a vital role in planning as well. So if you're in the host committee, please just raise your hand so we can see you. This summit has yielded participation from local government, nonprofit, and the business sector. Through the involvement of Metro managers as well as the Metro Mayor's Caucus, we were able to further conversations around equity and inclusion to 11 cities across Colorado, which is huge, in my opinion. That's an applause, I would say. In total, Metro mayors supporting the summit represent a combined constituent base of 1.7 million people. I have the task of framing the summit today, which is going to be an easy task because you have all these amazing documents. So as we take our journey together to create possibilities, we are not asking you to solve the issues related in all of our world issues, but just create possibilities. We wanted to frame this summit with our founding principles. So please turn to page 5 of your participant guide. Our first founding principle is equity. This term provides people with the opportunity to create tailor-made tools and resources in order to help individuals accomplish a given goal. Principle number 1. Principle number 2 is inclusion. Now, this term is different in that it's about the action. It's the strategies in your approach to ensuring that everyone in your organization is able to contribute and participate. Last but not least, our last foundational principle is intersectionality. This term recognizes the interconnected dimensions of our identities, including our gender, race, ethnicity, age, etc., just to list a few. It's also important to understand how our identities interact with systems such as education, transportation, food security, our personal safety. We all are within these systems that impact us, so that's why we subscribe to the concept of intersectionality. So our first principle is, say it with me, equity. A little louder, it's early, I know. First principle is equity. Second principle is inclusion. One more time. Second principle is inclusion. Third principle is intersectionality. That's a mouthful, I know. My talking points, had to figure that one out. So without further ado, I want to we are fortunate to be in this amazing space, the historic Tivoli Turn Hall. And so I want to thank the Metro Office of Diversity and Inclusion under the President for allowing us to use this space. They've been awesome with providing us with the resources that we need to conduct this event. Now, I would like to bring up Dr. Sandra Haynes, Deputy Provost of Academic and Student Affairs, to the podium to welcome you all to this campus. Thank you.
Well, good morning, and welcome to MSU Denver. We're thrilled to have you here, and I'll probably say that several times. I was recently invited to a luncheon supporting Girls, Inc. Their tagline is, inspiring all girls to be strong, smart, and bold. Definitely a worthy and my kind of cause. When watching the videos and listening to the speeches, however, I was also saddened by the fact that we need organizations like Girls, Inc. We need them because gender and identity inequities are alive and well. And I remembered a quote by Emma Watson that emphasizes one of the greatest inequities. How can we effect change in the world when only half of it is invited or feels welcome to participate in the conversation? Today, you come together at the table in the conversation, and I applaud you for that. And I thank you for doing so at Metropolitan State University of Denver. MSU Denver's mission is rooted in the fact that we offer educational programs and degrees to a diverse student population in an atmosphere of mutual respect. We take this last part of our mission very seriously. In fact, one of our 5 core values is respect. our strategic plan reads, "We boldly seek a climate of mutual respect and reflection that supports different beliefs and perspectives and promotes the open exchange of ideas." We are thrilled to have you here to have a respectful, open, honest conversation about gender equity. Gender equity and equity for our multiple identities is very important, now more than ever. As Hillary Clinton stated, "I believe that the rights of women and girls is the unfinished business of the 21st century. Let's finish that business." I know that you'll work hard today, and I hope that you enjoy your time here at MSU Denver.
Thank you. I now have the pleasure of introducing our 45th mayor, Mayor Michael B. Hancock. He is a true champion for equity and inclusion, and we will continue to make Denver a thriving city for all of our women and girls. I want to personally thank Michael Hancock for always listening to the Women's Commission and providing us with the resources to make sure that we are creating equitable workplace settings. Please welcome our mayor, Michael B. Hancock.
Thank you. So here we go. Denver thrives when women thrive. Our communities all thrive when women thrive. And that's the reason we are here today. I want to again thank the Women's Commission who conceived this idea about this summit. And of course, I want to give a huge thank you to It's Time Network for their partnership and leadership on this vital issue, not only here in Denver, but from around the country. I met women who are part of this network last night who are from Texas, Boston, I think Washington State. We want to thank It's Time Network for your tremendous support. When our community comes together with corporations and nonprofits, when we join forces with government, we can make a difference. Today, this summit is designed to do just that, to make a difference. As some of you may know, last night I shared at the opening reception that the City and County of Denver recently completed a pay equity analysis. And I was so proud of the results. And I'm proud to share with you that the results determine that the City and County of Denver provides city employees equal pay for equal work. Yeah? And it's important to recognize that as you go through your discussions today, that was not something done by one mayor or one city council. That was done by decades of constantly instituting merit strategies and personnel strategies and wage increase strategies and making our system blind to gender and really promoting from within and promoting quality, capacity, capabilities, competence, and hard work. And that's what we all hope for, right? Where when we all born, where potential is universal, opportunity is not. And unfortunately, some people like to pull back the blinders and remove one's desire to be judged by what they bring, how hard they work, by their outputs, and judge them differently by their skin color, their gender, their orientation. Today, we get a chance to put a stake in the ground that says, in the words of Hillary Clinton, let's address it now. And so your presence here is no small feat. The progress that we will make today is important. We have more work to do in the city of Denver and across this nation. It is not okay that across this country, women continue to make only 78 cents on the dollar of what men make. In Denver or throughout Colorado, it's 81 cents. And it's not okay that our sisters of color earn less than that for the same work. And while the conversations we'll have here today about fair pay and family-focused policies are vital, they are not the only approaches that the city has taken to help women and their families. This work is critical for all people to succeed in a booming economy, and a city that deserves and desires to be great. Today we are here to get some solutions that you all can take home and can implement. Solutions around shattering the glass ceiling, honoring our women as not only leaders in the workplace, but as essential leaders in our families and our communities, and creating workplace cultures that not only celebrate the value of diversity and inclusion, but build on that strong foundation. Again, I cannot thank you all enough for being here today, for your leadership, for your presence, and for your willingness to share in the great ideas that we all need to make sure that not only Denver, but our region and our state respond to that clarion call that we all matter. And this is where it begins. Enjoy your day. God bless you.
Thank you, Kim, and thank you, Mayor Hancock. Really, this day dawned 18 months ago when Christy Doherty, where are you, Christy, in the room? Christy introduced us to Kim, and when I met Kim, she said, you know, you're thinking about having a national summit here in Denver in 2016. She said, but what I really want is a room full of our community in Denver with mayors and elected officials who can really make a difference for women and girls in our region. And so here we are today, 18 months later, and it's going to be a fabulous event. And Mayor Hancock, it's to your credit, and I want to really recognize the leadership that you have provided. As he said, the number of mayors in this room today are unprecedented. We have asked around the country. I want you to know that we have found nowhere where the number of mayors and elected officials have ever gathered in this number with their community to hear from you what you think about how we can improve the lives of women and girls. And so your leadership, Mayor Hancock, is exemplary, and it has ripple effects. As you said, we have guests here from Connecticut, Massachusetts, Texas, and other places in the country who would like to do these kind of convenings in their cities and their states. So your work today is modeling for them what's possible in their communities, and your leadership is showing other mayors what they can do to stand up in their communities and to say, it's time, just as you said. How can it be in 2017 that we are where we are today? And yet so many of us still don't know the facts that you might hear today will surprise many of us, and we're in the field. What about those in our community who still don't know those numbers? At It's Time Network, our commitment is to making sure that we build a national network city program that allows cities in every community in this country to do this kind of work, to disseminate the information, help our communities come together across divides, across political differences, across differences within our own communities, so that we can find common ground and advance the needle for women and girls and men and boys and everyone across the gender spectrum, so that we can work together in many better ways than we currently are doing in our country right now and in our cities. So thanks to you for your leadership, and I'm proud to announce that It's Time Network launched in 2016 our Network City program in San Francisco. San Francisco has a national or a local advisory council there of diverse women leaders, and they are looking at how they can move the needle in their city. And I'm thrilled to announce today that we are launching a pilot city program here in Denver, and we'll be building a local advisory council with diverse women leaders in this community to take this work forward. So what I'd like to say quickly, just so we can get to the work at hand, we've had enough thank yous, and you're right, I won't take us through another list, so should I scrap these notes? Yes. So what I'd like to say is that today is a beginning step. And it is a powerful demonstration of collective impact in action as we build a common agenda that mayors and elected leaders in this region can use in their communities. We hope it will be the first step in many in Denver to continue this deep cross-sector collaboration with mayors, city managers, and others in elected office at every level. Have a great day, and I look forward to meeting many of you throughout the day. Let's go.
I once invited Dr. Jendell Allen Davis to speak to about 100 women at the University of Denver, and I asked her to tell her own personal story. I have never seen so many people laugh and cry that many times in 1 hour. It's an amazing story. As a young student leader at Dartmouth College, during a very tumultuous time in that school, followed by medical school at Dartmouth, taking care of a Native American population, then on as a doctor that took care of women for many years, and now Vice President of External Affairs and Government representing Kaiser. All along every path she's taken, and these have not been easy paths, she's never forgotten to empower and to help and to inspire other women. She's one of the most inspiring people I know, and I want to share her with you as we frame today's agenda. Dr. Jendell Allen Davis.
Well, good morning. It's so wonderful to be here, and as a testament to, I think, the adaptability, the flexibility of women, or maybe all of us, but certainly women, I thought I'd actually start with a story that I didn't know was going to be a story. Why did I join the stage late? It's because sitting at home on the floor in my office, thank God my husband was still there, was one of the pages to my notes. So I had to figure something out quickly. Thank heavens he hadn't left home yet, so we adapt. We are agile. So he quickly sent me my notes, and we are ready to go. So that's what we do, and that's some of the gifts I think that we have the ability, I think, as we start to expand and increase the presence of who is in the multiple rooms that we need to be in over the next many, many, many years and epochs that women and others can bring into the conversation. It is really, really cool to see this room full of so many of you. As has already been said, it's amazing that you've taken the time to come and really focus on this important issue. You know, the equity lens, and that word in particular, but the equity lens has been lifted up in ways that I haven't witnessed over my career. And I don't believe it's an accident, as we're in an important inflection point in our history as people of this world, not just this community or state or country, but rather this world. And there are a number of important shifts that make the topic timely and critical terms and of how we manage and lead through the next epoch. Because we've solved the easy problems. We can transport millions of people far and wide across this globe within hours. We can safely ship massive quantities of food across some of the same expanses. We can light, heat, or cool our homes and workplaces with the touch of a button. And we know how to provide safe, clean water to millions, whether in developed or underdeveloped countries. And we're also innovating at Mach speeds. Alexa and Siri can give us answers simply by speaking into the air. We have driverless cars. They're literally and figuratively right around the corner. We can 3D print. We have pharmaceuticals that are literally transforming and saving lives, and nanotechnology that is enabling amazing medical, engineering, and biological solutions to once seemingly unsolvable problems. And yet, despite these innovations, whether they're simple or complex, they have not solved all the problems because not everyone has access to clean drinking water or basic human needs, including and especially food. The vexing, intractable problems of homelessness and hunger seem as if they should have been solved a millennia ago, let alone the provision of reliable, affordable, and safe housing for all. And many of these newer technologies are only available to a small portion of the Earth's population and are likely to remain so for the foreseeable. Poverty, educational attainment and achievement, racial and ethnic equality and equity, how women and girls are treated the world over. We could go on and on about the things that we haven't gotten to. And we haven't universally solved these problems because the problems we face today are adaptive. They aren't technical. And adaptive problems, as defined by Professor Ronald Heifetz, are those problems that are difficult to identify but easy to deny. The people with the problem have to do the work of solving it. They require changes in values, beliefs, roles, relationships, and approaches to work. And they require change in numerous places, actually and usually across organizational boundaries. People often resist even acknowledging adaptive challenges, and I will candidly tell you I watch that happen in my own workplace daily. And healthcare, as you know, is going through a little bit of challenge right now. The solutions require experiments and new discoveries, and they can take a long time to implement and cannot be implemented by edict. So then you take those things and you layer on the issues of gender, class, and race, and the picture becomes even more complicated and cloudy. So I'm going to rattle off very quickly a few stats. Regarding gender equity, we know the data. Women are 50.8% of the US population, yet we earn almost 60% of the undergraduate degrees and 60% of all master's degrees. We earn 47% of law degrees, 48% of all medical degrees. We earn more than 44% of the master's degrees in business and administration and management, including 37% of MBAs. And we're 47% of the US labor workforce and 59% of college-age entry-level workforce. But we're only 14.6% of executive officers, 8% of top earners, and 4.6% of Fortune 500 CEOs. We hold just 17% of Fortune 500 board seats. In the financial services industry, we're 54% of the labor force, but only 12.4% of executive officers, 18.3% of board directors, and none of us are CEOs. We account for 78% of the labor force in healthcare and social assistance, but only 14.6% of executive officers and 12.4% of board directors, and none again are CEOs. In the legal field, 45% of associates, but only 25% of non-equity partners and 15% of equity partners. In medicine, we're 34.3% of all the physicians and surgeons, but only 16% of medical school deans. In information technology, we hold only 9% of management positions and account for only 14% of senior management positions. This is one of the more sobering ones. Although women control 80% of consumer spending in the United States, we're only 3% of creative directors in advertising. Their image, our image on screen, is created overwhelmingly by men. Women accounted for just 16% of all the directors, executive producers, writers, cinematographers, and editors who worked on top grossing 250 domestic films in 2013, and just 28% of all off-screen talent on broadcast television programs during the 12 to 13 season. Well, I work in healthcare, and according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, women comprise 80% of our workforce and the social support workforce, but only 43% of executives. And that's actually an improvement, but you do again see the disparity. A report released by Rock Health, they're a venture fund devoted to digital health, found that gender-diverse teams have led to improved recognition, performance, and scalability. 9 of the top 10 healthcare Fortune 500 companies have women in the C-level roles. Gender diversity impacts hospital performance and long-term improvement. And interestingly, I learned some new words recently. Fewer women CEOs lead zombie startups. Those are ones that haven't made much money since their creation, in fact, less than $2 million. And none led what's called Deadpool startups. Those are ones that did not and are not surviving. At KP, Colorado, 76% of our workforce are women. Our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion is part of our DNA. Henry Kaiser, who's the co-founder of Kaiser Permanente, was able to make it that Kaiser Permanente was the first healthcare organization to have racially integrated hospitals in 1940s. Henry said, "Black patients are to be treated like everybody else. There is no segregation at our facilities." 5 of 8 of our regions are led by women on the health plan side, and 3 of 8 of the regions are led by our Permanente medical groups are led by women. Women and people of color are amply represented on our National Board of Directors and our National Leadership Team. And we took top spot in Diversity Inc.'s 2016 Top 50 Companies for Diversity list, reaching #1 for the second time since debuting of the publications list in 2006. So how do we do it? And that's sort of that's where I really want to pivot as I get these, wind up these remarks. How do we do it? I was trying to think, so why is all this important? And is the end goal simply to get to equity, or is it to really be able to think about what equity enables in terms of solving some of the intractable problems I talked about? So how do we do it? We do it by intentionally majoring in the majors and the minors. Not perfectly by any measure, but certainly better than many. We believe that the most important social determinant of health is access to economic opportunity and prosperity. We commit to this on behalf of communities, including our own employees, and we let the data tell the story. And sometimes it's hard to look at, as we too have the same ski slope as one ascends the ranks to the C-suite. And that said, in this region, 6 of our 13 vice presidents are women and 2 of us are people of color. Our policies, and this is really important around the work that you all will have the opportunity to help us with and do today, because our policies are not unique from a FMLA, flexible schedules, or some of the usual HR practices that I know you'll explore. But we also continue to work on ensuring that the people we hire espouse our values of thinking about total health through the lens of mind, body, and spirit, making lives better, providing high quality and affordable health care, and thinking in terms of the team as opposed to the individual. We continue to set and certainly work at the notion of high bars for performance management, and we seek to retain our high performers by investing in their development and advancement. Where we may be a cut above the rest also are opportunities for stretch work via the 3 E's, that is, education, exposure, and experience, sometimes even sending people for short work assignments to other regions. Our leadership teams are very accessible, and most of us are involved in some sort of mentoring relationships with either people inside Kaiser Permanente or outside. We do place a high value on coaching and mentoring, and there's still work to do, I believe, in sponsoring, in particular women, with intentionality. And we spend time working on our own leadership, assuring that there's room in the room for diverse perspectives, because diversity of thought is as important as what we look like. And it's not as simple as it sounds. It takes leaders who are open to creating safe spaces for expression and action. So what if, just what if, the key to providing access and opportunity to all those technological advances and solving the big intractable problems lies in including more voices in the why of those advances? Who seeks to benefit? And the how of those advances? How do we assure that the advances meet the needs of the largest swaths of humankind in order to produce even greater impacts? And it would appear that the data support that women in the workplace at the highest levels of our organization could serve as force multipliers. Achieving this requires that we get about identifying and addressing the gender inequities that continue to plague us, as reflected in the data. And if the technical problems have been solved, and yet the same intractable basic human needs and human rights problems persist, wherein lie potential solutions? And why should we care? Well, I'll tell you the answer. Please allow me to answer that last question. Because all boats rise with the tide. And we're close to hitting the limits of our ability to advance much farther until or unless we deal with the issues of those who live at the lowest rungs of our society. I firmly believe women possess the ability to fight for continued progress and economic prosperity for those at the top, while addressing those at the bottom in ways that perhaps have been largely neglected. Without this duality of thought and action, progress will stagnate. Sorry to sound like a Debbie Downer, and I believe there are plenty of storm clouds that suggest we're heading in that direction. The data would suggest that widening the tent, leveling the playing field to include more voices, and in particular voices of women and people of color, into the chorus holds important keys to managing this inflection point that we find ourselves at well. And one important avenue that we can take together in order to enter this work with intention is equity, using an equity lens. Because I believe that approach holds many, yet certainly not all, the keys. It's complex and it's complicated work, but with thought, planning, time, energy, and commitment, we can step into the dance with elegance. The concept is simple, and the beauty lies in the dance. Provision of all and only what is essential to letting every one of us realize our God-given potential. This requires slowing down and really seeing each other with new eyes. It requires seeing each other, in each other, the amazing potential that is dying to be unleashed and realized in order to both do good and be good. It requires that few, if any of us, come to work with a plan to be mediocre or worse. It requires unfettered, customized access to the tools necessary to succeed, which requires that organizational and policy leaders see those they serve through the lens of our gifts, as well as our biological, sociological, and economically imposed limits. And then it requires that each of us step in, own our own success, and grab the opportunities provided. Our biologically determined internal drive to improve, learn, grow, and create will take care of the rest. And one important means of achieving this equity is the feminine perspective and means of relating. While hardly the sole possession of women, it is the women who are most likely to bring that voice into the discussions, strategy, and planning, and in turn make it safe for men to channel the same, while we learn how to bring our masculine voice into the room as well. You know, Jonas Salk said, "Our greatest responsibility is to be good ancestors." I can think of no more critical time for women to step in and claim this space and grow a wonderful crop of good ancestors. And we need men standing alongside as partners in the journey who also see the power of relinquishing and or sharing their power in service to greater goods that will come back to enrich all of us as individuals and as well as our communities. So I ask that you enjoy this day, speak truth in your conversations, and let's get intentional about approaches to improving both our workplaces and our world. Thank you so much.